should I go on my computer? But there the pixels are not as clear. So I tried this laptop. If it happens again, then I'll go on my computer. So Cheta is yadi, if. Cheta will come again and again. Cheta is if. Remember that. Tvam imam. So atha cheta tvam imam. Tvam is, of course, you, tum. Imam is this. It is related to the word idam. Idam is this, and imam is one of the vibhaktis of idam. I won't torture you too much on that. Dharmyam. Dharmyam is second vibhakti, dvitiya vibhakti, dharmyam, dharma ko. Sangramam, again, sangramam is sangram ko. Sangram is a battle. So you will notice that the visheshana, the adjective, and the noun will have the same vibhakti, the same case, and the same gender. You can't say dharmasya sangramam. Dharmasya is seventh vibhakti and sangramam is second vibhakti. You can't do that. Dharmyam sangramam. That's what another beautiful element of Sanskrit is. You get that rhyming element within the shloka. Dharmyam sangramam. Imam dharmyam sangramam. So they all will share that vibhakti. And it creates a nice resonance. And we will play with it if someday you want to study this. Na karishyasi. Karishyasi is if you don't do in the future. Wherever usually si in a verb is you're addressing someone. When you're addressing, for example, you say gachasi. Gachasi means you walk. Gachasi is implies that you walk. For example, I say gachami. Gachami is I walk. Gachami, gachasi, gachati. Gachati is he walks. So ami, I think something disappeared here, but that's okay. Ami is when I do something. Gachasi, gachasi will be when you do something. So example, I say to Jidesh ji, tishtasi. Tishtasi is to stand. So stand up. Right? Well, it will become a little different. So it won't be say stand up. It will be you are standing. Tishtasi is to you're standing. Vadasi. If I say vadami, I am speaking. I don't have to put I. I can say aham vadami, or I can just say vadami. So the word actually is kuroshi or karoshi. I think karoshi is the word. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Madhyam purush. When I say someone, you're doing something, I say karoshi. But when you put the future tense to it, it becomes karishyasi. And you will remember this now. When I say bhavami, when I say bhavasi, bhava is to be. So sarvajitji, bhavasi, you are. Bhavasi. If I say bhavishyasi, it means you will be. Bhavishya, remember, bhavishya is always in the future. That's how I remember it. So when you say karishyasi is you will do. So bhavasi is you are. Bhavishyasi is you will be. So always remember this si in present indicative. Present right now, and in Sanskrit, we don't have a present continuous and present. There's no difference. If I say I eat and I am eating, in Sanskrit, it is the same thing. Khadami is the same thing. I eat or I am eating. If I say gachami, that means I go or I am going. So the same thing if I say gachasi, Jidesh ji gachasi, you are going or you go. So here, but if I say gamishyasi, you will go. So see the difference? If I say bhavasi, means you are. If I say bhavishyasi, you will be. Very simple, beautiful. Sanskrit is beautiful. So, karoshi, karishyasi, you're going to do in the future. Now, na karishyasi, if you don't do. So now let's break this word. Atha chet, actually, padached is given right there. Why am I torturing myself? Atha cheta tvam imam dharmyam sangramam na karishyasi. Atha is now, or but, according to some translators. Cheta is if, tvam is you, imam is this, dharmyam is the righteous war, dharmyam sangramam, जो धार्मिक संग्राम है, this battle, that is the dharmic battle. Sangramam is the war. If you do not do, if you will not do this battle of dharma, if dharmic battle, tataha, then, so then swadharmam, your own dharma, kirtim, your fame, cha, usually cha is and. Cha, when it comes, cha will, after you list things, cha will come at the end. You could have said swadharmam cha kirtim cha. That's another way to say this. But then your rhythm will get messed up. Tata swadharmam kirtim cha. Your swadharma and your kirti. Hitva. Hitva is lose. Hit, you know, hit, sahitya, jo sabke liye hai. That is which is for everyone. Sahit. Hit, what we consider as hit, is benefit. Hit really means to go towards. So, he is the root that means to go. So, when I say prajahasi, you give up. He, the sound is to give. So, hitva here means you're giving up. Whenever you hear, whenever you see a va, that is a gerund. Gerund means you have done it. After eating, I will leave. So, I think it will be khaditva. Correct me if I'm wrong. After eating. Hitva means after losing. Papam, papko. Now, papam is object. That's a second vibhakti. Papko. Karam ko, pap ko. Avapsyasi. Avapsyasi is I will receive, I will gain that. So I will gain sin, I will gain papa. And so Sri Aurobindo, of course, translates it beautifully. But if thou dost not this battle for the right, then hast thou abandoned thy duty and virtue and thy glory, and sin shall be thy portion. So Sri Aurobindo is translating Swadharma as duty and virtue. Of course, Sri Aurobindo has taught us that dharma is not duty, nor is it virtue, but he's translating it, and translator's job is always a limitation of the possibilities. You restrict yourself when you translate. In the Hindi interpretation, that's okay, we'll deal with it. My looks are anyway not that important. All right, so let's go to this. So now I think you understand at least the meaning, right? I hope you know. और यदि तू इस धर्म से युक्त धर्म की रक्षार्थ लड़े जाने वाले युद्ध को नहीं करेगा, तो अपने कर्तव्य धर्म कर्म रूप धर्म को छोड़ देगा और पुण्य एवं यश को खो बैठेगा और पाप का भागी बनेगा. So today I just wanted to bring you to that Sanskrit use of Madhyam Purush, Madhyam Purush singular. Now, if you want to learn more of that, we can do that. But if today we can just remember khadami, khadasi, khadati, vadami, vadasi, vadati. Vada is to speak. Vadami, I speak. Vadasi, you speak. Vadati, he speaks. So just practice a little bit. It will become easy. And when I add avapsyasi, that again, that sya makes it, you will get it. It makes it future. So just a very basic understanding of Madhyam Purush singular. And if you can remember, now in Sanskrit, first person I is not called Pratham Purush. Pratham Purush is actually the third person. So what we call the third person is Pratham Purush in Sanskrit. When we say he goes, that is third person in English, but in Sanskrit that is Pratham Purush, because that always confuses people, but we will hopefully remember that. Second person is Madhyam Purush, and the first person in Sanskrit, that is me, is Uttam Purush. So if we can remember that, then that makes it easy. So vadami, vadasi, vadati. I speak, you speak, he speaks. Gacchami, gacchasi, gacchati. I go, you go, he goes. So he is telling Arjuna, na karishyasi, if you will not do this, papama avapsyasi, you will gain or receive papa. So when all they have done is added the future tense. Future tense is very easy. If you can remember the present tense, future tense is very easy. Just adding ishya, shya to it, it becomes very easy. So let's just get this right. And if you want to practice it, if you want me to send you those, and maybe next time we'll do the... So Sanskrit goes singular, plural, but it also has dual. How many people are there? In English, we have either one person or multiple people, singular or plural. In Sanskrit, there is also dual. So that is the unique aspect of Sanskrit, and that makes it a little difficult, but it is more precise. Okay, so let's talk about the concept of this. So first logic that Sri Krishna used was, you cannot kill the Atman, you cannot kill the Purusha, so all this is nonsense. Right? If you remember that when we went from 2:11 to 2:25, he said, you cannot kill the Atman. Then 2:26 to 2:30, he says, even if you are right and you can kill the Atman, you have no reason to feel sorrow. Then the third argument starts with Shloka 30th, where he says, it is your dharma, because if you follow your dharma, the door of heaven will open for you. Now he is beginning to move to the fourth reasoning that he has given. And if you see the third pada, Tata swadharmam kirtim cha. Swadharmam he's talking about, and he throws in another element that is very important to a fighter, to a kshatriya. Kirti, my fame, not with general people, my fame with those whom I respect, those who are yodhas of my caliber. I want them to respect me for the right reasons. So this is very pointed. Sri Krishna is, of course, very a genius, so he knows how to, touch his tender spots. And now the fourth argument will be on Kirti and how people will see him, how others, his enemies, his apayash will happen, and he talks about it. Now, I know we did not do the second and third shloka of the second chapter, but in the second chapter, beginning when Arjuna is full of vishad, of despair, Sri Krishna brings these basic things with him, that this is anarya, this is not worthy of an Aryan, this is not going to take you to Swarga, and this is not going to get you Kirti. These three things he brings out. He brings them back again. Arjuna did not agree at that time. Now he has come back to it. So he brings the Purusha, he changes the paradigm. And this is the genius of Sri Krishna. Before we knew paradigm shift in those days, Sri Krishna brought a paradigm shift. What is a paradigm shift? The rules of the game are changed. The terms of the game are changed. And the entire way of approaching the battle, the mindset, the attitude is changed. And so he has created what nowadays we call a paradigm shift. So this is the genius of Sri Krishna. It will be good if we can understand how he uses logic, because he's a genius, he's a brilliant mind, of course. And you will notice he takes it to a very high pitch, where Arjuna would have nothing to argue about, that the Purusha cannot be destroyed. And now he's bringing it to his level. Even if you think, so this is Upaya Kaushal, he's coming down to the level of the student, the disciple. I'm coming down to your level. Even if you think like this, you cannot behave like that. And then he comes to the third logic. Think of your Swadharma, what it will do to your Swadharma. And then the fourth logic, look, what will it do to your Kirti and how others will see you. So the fourth argument has started here. I'm not sure if I want to go too much into philosophy here, but very briefly, there are two ways to do things in life. And in English, it's called deontology and consequentialism, which people have a very hard time with. For example, why do I do this? Why do I come to this session and do this? People, if you ask me, I can say I receive something. What do I gain out of it? So what is the consequence, right? That's called consequentialism. Or the other is how I do it. It is called deontology. Ontology means my being. So if I say, Rajesh ji, study for your exam. He wants to talk about his exam. So study for the exam for Gita, because if you win, we will give you an award. If he does it for the award, that's called consequentialism. If he does it just for the joy of doing it, that's called deontology. Now, Arjuna is a consequentialist. If I fight this battle, what will happen? I will kill these people. I will be committing a sin. I will destroy the race. All the women will have no guidance, no virtue. It will destroy the whole nation. So what will be the consequences of the war? Now, Sri Krishna is, people think Sri Krishna is a deontologist, and that's what our friend Amartya Sen calls him, a deontologist. That is not correct. Because a deontologist will, Sri Krishna will say, do it because it's your duty. Don't worry about the consequence. But Sri Krishna is not doing that. Sri Krishna is going to the consequence that if you do not fight, you will have a kirti. You will lose your kirti. You will not go to Swarga. Your Swadharma will be destroyed. So that's the consequence. Now he will take him to how he has to do it. So he meets Arjuna on his plane of consequentialism. If you don't do it, actually you will have papa. Arjuna says, if I fight this war, it will be papa. Shri Krishna says, no, if you do not fight, it will be papa. So that is, he is talking about the consequence. But Shri Krishna then takes him not just to the consequence, because honestly, we never really know what the consequences of our action is. And Shri Krishna wants to take it away from him. Do not think about the phala of your action, because you really cannot know. Your mind is not wide enough to understand. But I can tell you how to do your karma. And if you know how to do your karma, then the consequences will always be good. And then he takes him to that logic. So Shri Krishna is both a consequentialist and a deontologist. If we remember this, so that If someone argues with you, you can take them on. We want you to become dangerous. You want to take on Amartya Sen, you can slap him right there and then, because Amartya Sen has not read the Gita. He wrote a whole book on justice, but he has not read it. He has not paid attention to it, and he's just trying to put words. He's just trying to show that he's understanding it. He does not. And you can see it. You can quote this shlok and show him that Sri Krishna talks about the consequences. So let's go to the most favorite part of the session for you guys, the Patha. I know you were waiting for this. So I will try it, and then we will get the master to do the incantation. And so first Patha is Atha Chetvam Imam Dharmyam. So again, you see the 8 varnas. Atha Che Va. Sorry, did I get it right? Atha Chetvam Imam Dharmyam. Okay. Atha Che Va Mi Ma Dha and Ya. The 2 tas are half. So Chet and Tvam, they have become 2 half tas. These are not considered varna in this. And then Anuswara after Ma is not considered a varna. And then the half Ma after Dha is not considered a varna. All they do is make the previous varna longer. So Dharmyam, Dha is considered a longer varna. So, and I just read something very beautiful on Sanskrit. Allow the longer terms, the dirgha, allow your voice to come out. And it's not just me saying it. It's Coulson, Coulson. He's saying the same thing. He was a Sanskrit scholar. I'm trying to read up all these things so that I can share all that. So he says, open your voice and let it go. Don't worry about it. Atha chetvam imam dharmyam sangramam na karishyasi tatas swadharmam kirtim cha hitva papam avapsyasi. Now, that's how we will read it. Now we want to make a part of it. Then you will bring a little music to it. Atha chetvam imam dharmyam sangramam na karishyasi tatasvadharmam kirtim cha hitva papam avapsyasi. Let your voice take you wherever the varna is taking you, and you will see a perfection. You will hear a perfection of the sound. So Rajesh ji, you want to play Swami Brahmanandji, who will do a far better job, of course, than I. Let's see. Yeah, it's pe niche jao. No, the arrow. No. Arrow, yes.
और यदि तुम इस धर्म
ना उस पे हिंदी पे से हटा दो.
मूल श्लोक राजेश, मूल श्लोक.
Yeah.
अथ चेत्त्वमिमं धर्म्यं संग्रामं न करिष्यसि ततः स्वधर्मं कीर्तिं च हित्वा पापमवाप्स्यसि.
Now, to really enjoy it, see how beautifully he does it. When he says Atha Chaitvam Imam, by the way, it's not Chai, it's Che, but that's okay. Atha Chaitvam Imam Dharmyam. The Tha becomes a little prominent for him. Atha Chaitvam Imam Dharmyam Sangramam na karishyasi tatas. So that Visarga becomes Sa. Because the beauty of Sanskrit is, if you are near a varna, near a certain sound, and remember, every sound that comes from a special place in the throat. So to take from tata to sa, that visarga becomes a sa. Tata swadharmam kirtim cha hitva papama vapsyasi. So let's hear it again, how beautifully he sings it.
अथ चेत्त्वमिमं धर्म्यं संग्रामं न करिष्यसि ततः स्वधर्मं कीर्तिं च हित्वा पापमवाप्स्यसि.
So our shlokas in Sanskrit are both poetry and mathematics. So if you read Pingala's Chanda Shastra, Pingala will show you how many variations are there of each. When you play with the varnas, so 5th, 6th, and 7th are fixed. Short, long, long. And in the second pada, it will be short, long, short. Third pada, short, long, long. Fourth pada, short, long, short. Now, see the variations. Others, he can keep changing. And now you have multiple variations. Those who know permutations and combinations will see how many possible combinations will be of other varnas. There are crores of possibilities. That's how our ancients came to what is called permutations and combinations. Those who know mathematics, our ancients were able to reach a fundamental calculation of permutations and combinations. For example, I think you all know what a permutation combination is. If I take 1 here and I have 2, I can only combine these two in 2 ways. Either this thumb, I can show you, sorry, you can't see me on the screen. So if I have 1 apple and 2 bananas, or sorry, 1 apple and a banana and an apple. So unit 1 is apple, unit 2 is apple and banana. Now, if I put them together, there are only 2 possibilities. I'll pick the apple with the apple, 2 apples, or apple and banana. There are only 2 possibilities. For you to take lunch, you have to take 2 fruits. You can either take 2 apples or a banana and an apple. Now, if the third choice is a guava and grapes and sitaphal, custard apple, now you have 2 times 3 will become 6 options as you try. So that is permutations and combinations very briefly. And our ancients were able to break it down. How many possibilities of chand are there if we fix certain varnas? And if someday you get interested, we'll talk about it. So I think I've talked enough, even though you can't see my face, but that's okay. I think your own handsome faces, smiling faces are good enough. So I think if you have any questions, want to go in more detail, we are happy to go into this. I think I have beaten it up for you all.
Yeah. Dr. Pariksith, there is one question from Rahul in the chat box. It says, what is the definition of a sin as per the Gita?
In the Gita, let's talk about Vedanta. Papa is whenever you're in duality, it's considered papa. When you're in the unity, state of unity, then you're not in papa. That is in Vedanta. That is the traditional definition. Now, if we go by Sri Krishna's definition, there are 3 kinds of karmas. One is the good karma. If I do good things, that's good karma. One is the bad karma, if I do bad things. But then the concept comes of vikarma and akarma. Akarma is if I do nothing. That is akarma, which is what Arjuna wants to do, nothing. And vikarma is when I take the credit for what I do. When I think I am the one doing it. When I do not have the right understanding of who the actual doer is, that is the fundamental understanding of vikarma. Now, karma according to one's duty is sukarma, but Sri Krishna takes it to a higher level, to the understanding that you are not even the doer of this karma. And that he takes it, that understanding is called naishkarmya. When you understand that I am not the doer at all, I am in a state of non-doing. But in my state of non-doing, things are happening. That is not a karma, that is naishkarmya. Naishkarmya is work is going on. Akarma is my understanding that I can stop working. Shri Krishna says that you can never stop working. So if once we understand this, Naishkarmya takes you to a higher state where you realize that everything is done by Prakriti. And then a still higher state is when you realize that Shri Krishna is doing it. All is being done by Shri Krishna. When everything is being done for Shri Krishna, then that is the best dharma according to Shri Krishna. That is the height of dharma. In that dharma, in that work, there is no papam. Papam is when I assign the doer to myself. When I am the doer, I do it for myself. I do it without surrendering things to Sri Krishna and offering everything to him, including myself. If I do not offer myself to Sri Krishna and assume that I am the doer, then that will bring me to papa. That is the papa. That is the vikarma. That is the understanding that feeds on to the wrong karmas, karmic cycle for me. But the moment I surrender it all to Sri Krishna, offer it all to him, and whatever he gives, I enjoy it, then that is punya. Sri Krishna takes it to a very different level. So in practical terms, if we are doing something, if we're going to enjoy a drink, we're going to have some custard, some ice cream, whatever, we are doing this. And if I start thinking, I, Pariksith, am teaching and I'm showing people, then you know what you're going to say about it. That is papa. Now, if the understanding comes that it is Sri Krishna teaching to Sri Krishna, now I'm in a different plane. Suddenly the understanding comes that these nimittas, Parikshit, Rajesh, Jiten, Kunal, Sarvjit, Jidesh, all these are nimitts, these are all faces of that same reality. It is like the same ocean where the waves are coming up and going away, and each wave is saying, no, I am doing the work. I am the ocean. Yes, you are. But once only when you realize your connection with the ocean. So I'm trying to give you a practical example of this. If I do not surrender this work to Sri Krishna, then that is papa. Nimit matra bhava savya sachi. Sri Krishna says this very clearly to Arjuna. You are just be a nimit, be an instrument. When I am an instrument to Sri Krishna, then I will not incur any papa. So papa is a very complex word. It is not how we have understood it in certain panthas where God has said you're going to do this, that is punya, and you're going to do that, that is papa. Papa depends on your state of consciousness. Right now, what I'm speaking, it can be punya and it can be papa. Same action. It can be punya if I offer all this to Sri Krishna and offer myself to Krishna and then realize it is Sri Krishna speaking. If I see you as individual people, that is a lower understanding than if I see that Sri Krishna is the one receiving what Sri Krishna is giving. Now, the moment you see this, you have a paradigm shift. You come into a different awareness where you can never do papa. There will never be a sin because all is Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna is doing all this. It is the vast ocean of Sri Krishna's being where waves are coming. We all are his waves. Our nama rupa is his waves. Akara gati, we are flowing. It's like a massive cosmic energy exploding, but behind it all is Sri Krishna, and all this is Sri Krishna. The moment we see that, then there can be no papa. And we do all that for him, then there is no papa. In the 18th chapter, I think it's the 66th shloka, and I'm sorry if I Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. I think it's the 66th. Aham tvam sarv papebhya mokshishyami ma shucha. I will free you from all sins. If you want to go to 18th chapter and 66th shloka, if nothing else, to make me feel better about myself. 18th chapter, yeah. And that will give you a kind of understanding of what Sri Krishna means by, aha, see, the brain is still working. Now, okay, that's good. Please remember this shloka. This is one of the most important shlokas of the Gita. 65th and 66th of the 18th chapter. If you just understand those two, your life is done. Your goose is cooked. Let's go to this because the Papa came and that's why I wanted you to hear this. Sarva dharman parityajya. Abandon all dharmas. Mam ekam sharanam vraja. Come to me alone. Take refuge in me alone. Aham tvam sarva papebhya. I will release you from all sins. Mokshishyami. Mokshishyami. I will release. Remember that khadami, khadasi, khadati. When I say khadami, here mokshishyami. Again, you see the shya. I will release you. The future has come. Aham tvam sarva papebhya. Sorry, aham tva sarva papebhya mokshishyami ma shucha. Do not grieve, do not be sorrowful. I will release you from all sins if you take refuge in me. So he takes Papa to a very high level. Whatever is not done for Sri Krishna is Papa. Whatever is done for Sri Krishna is Punya. That's where he takes it. So I'm sorry for this, but hopefully, this Sri Krishna's concept has come through on this.
Very nice. So next question, Dr. Pariksith, is from Sapna. He says, my question is deontology same as teleology?
No, teleology is telos. Telos is the end. Those who know genetics, telomere, it's the end of a DNA. Or give me another word. Television. Tele is distance. So teleology is to base my philosophy based on the end. The end will justify everything that is happening now. So there is a proof of God that is called the teleologic proof of God. Teleologic proof of God means what? At the end of it, this universe will converge into God. And who was that philosopher? And please help me here. He calls it the Omega point. He was a great evolutionist. And Amal Kiranji has compared him to Sri Aurobindo. The name will come to me.
The Teilhard de Chardin.
Teilhard de Chardin. Makaranji, thank you. So I knew you had to come there. That's good. So the Chardin was the French great thinker, philosopher, who said this universe is evolving to an omega point called, and that is Christ. And that was his theory. Sri Aurobindo, of course, is much wider, Vedantic, and takes it, and he doesn't really give you an end point. If you read the Life Divine, he doesn't. He says, whatever the end is meant to be, it's an unfolding, constant unfolding. But at least for the present yoga, I think the end he gives us the truth consciousness. Truth consciousness is the end. Why did I come to this? Oh, teleology. Teleology is when we focus on the end. But the problem with teleology is if you're only focused on the end, you're going to forget the present. And this is a common problem. Are the ends important or the means important? Again, the same thing. Remember consequentialism and deontology. By the time we are done, you are all going to be philosophers. So if I say a consequence, the last end point is when I consider that and put my whole philosophical approach to it, it's called a teleologic approach. But if I focus on the means, if the means are very important to me, then it's called the deontologic approach. So deontology is different from teleology. I hope that answered the question. Makaranji, please, did I say it correctly? Now I have a critic.
I think this is such a fascinating discussion, because I think in the Gita, there are both consequentialist arguments and deontological arguments, and
Yes.
also non-consequentialism. In other words, once you surrender to Sri Krishna, there is no agency. So there is no consequence. You have your karmas are at an end. Consequentialism means if you do not fight, you will incur sin. So you just quoted today's Shloka 2.33. It is a consequentialist argument that if you do not fight, you will incur sin and apayash.
Yes.
So you will go down in the totality of how Kshatriyas are viewed, the reputation matrix, as it were. And deontology goes back to Immanuel Kant, and it's basically that decisions are based on rules and not on consequences. In other words, suppose someone says, don't cheat at your taxes because you'll go to jail. That is a consequentialist argument. But a deontological argument is don't cheat at your taxes because it is immoral to do so.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So going back to what you said about Amartya Sen, when I was editing this journal called Evam, we published a rebuttal to Amartya Sen, which was written by another philosopher, Sitanshu Chakravarti. And all these Amartya Sen, all this left wing, they blacklisted us. Anyhow, that's a different conversation. But what I'm trying to say is the distortions, you're absolutely right, without properly understanding the Gita or giving it, the kind of respect it deserves. Even the argumentative Indian by Amartya Sen is very reductive in the way it divides Indian tradition into, the so-called dialectical and the so-called authoritarian. That's now how it was. Or what Namvarji and others said, Dusri Parampara ki or. You set up Tulsi versus Kabir. So I'm glad you brought it up. These are false dichotomies. The beauty of the Gita is all kinds of arguments are given. And then at the end, there's no argument. There's the beauty of surrender. When you really find the Lord, then the mind becomes very still. That's why you quoted that Sarva Dharman Parityajya, that beautiful. See, that is the end point of all debate and argument. When you willingly surrender. And yet the last shloka of the Gita is now I've told you, now you do as you wish, do as you think right. So I just wanted to add to some of the things you said. And it's such a beautiful shloka, and you explained it very well, and you brought in the vibhaktis and all of that. So I'm benefiting a lot from this. Thank you so much. Thank you.
They will all be speaking Sanskrit by the time I'm done with them. Even if they don't speak Sanskrit, they will understand it. That's all. And they will become very dangerous. They will take on Amartya Sen. They will take on all these reductionistic thinkers, and then they'll be reading my book. They'll be the first people to understand it.
Thank you, Dr. Markan.
That is a consequentialist argument. That you will read my book.
All right. So I hope it answers Sapna's questions. And we have another question from Jiten. I want to know more about Swadharma.
Swadharma.
Yeah, actually, I want to expand that question a bit. If we are not ego, we are nobody, we are Krishna, where is the question of Swadharma? Everything is, so where is the Swa? So why is there Swadharma? Is it not a limitation of the ego that you can do this well, you cannot do this well?
So this is the eternal question. If all is Sri Krishna, then who is this person arguing about Sri Krishna or talking about Sri Krishna? And that is a battle that even Adi Shankaracharya had to fight. But let's go on a very practical phase, because this will be a long discussion. And if we can, Sri Aurobindo took on even Adi Shankaracharya in this argument. And it was not Sri Aurobindo only. It was also, by the way, even Ramanujacharya and others who fought Shankara. So, in practical terms, is there this sense of I? Right? There is. If there is, in practical terms, a sense of I, then what do we do with it? We can say that, yes, it is all Sri Krishna, but then our mind is still in the ego. Right? So all we are doing is creating a falsity that doesn't exist. I mean, we are saying all is Sri Krishna, but in reality, all is not Sri Krishna. Then what do we do with it? So even in Vedanta, even Adi Shankara gave allowance. When Adi Shankara says, Sarvan Brahman Jagan Mithya, Jiva Brahman Ev Na Para, all is Brahman. Now what do you do with it? People asked him, then what do I do? So he gave an allowance. It's okay. You live in two orders. Anukrama, he calls it. Anukrama is an order. Let me try to explain what an order is. Suppose you are, I don't know, those who like physics, Newtonian physics, right? Everything is separate. Object A, object B, you live in space and time and gravity, right? That's Newtonian physics. You live on Earth, you're a different person. That's a Newtonian world, and you see the stars, you see the sky, the sun is coming up, there's gravity. Apple falls from the tree, that's gravity. That's a Newtonian world. You can call it a Newtonian anukrama, Newtonian order. But now if you understand Einstein, or let's take it even further, you understand, say, quantum physics. Just hold that thought for a moment. Do you still see an apple falling from the tree? Or you are in a quantum world where all the things are happening instantaneously? Where is time? In the quantum world, time as a variable does not exist. Which means everything is happening right now. Everything. Now that's a different anukrama. That's a different order. Are you with me? So in Vedanta, different orders are allowed. We talk that all is Brahman. That is the order of Brahman. But to understand that I am not in the order of Brahman, I am living in a duality, stage of duality, where I am separate from this Brahman. There is a separate Brahman out there. Then that is called the Vyavharik Anukram. That is called the practical order of pragmatism. Right? So I live in that practical order. The mistake we do is we mix these orders. We say, okay, now all is Brahman, so I'm Brahman, I'm all cool, I don't have to do anything. But then my awareness is still that of a separative consciousness. I'm still separate, I'm still Pariksith, I still have to go and see my patients, I still have to make some money, I have to be successful, I have to do something. But if I'm in the Vedantic state, if I'm in the Brahmic state, what do I have to do? I don't have to do anything. So right now I'm in a pragmatic anukrama, and where I have to follow the order, the rules of the order that I'm in. If you are in the Newtonian world and the apple is falling on your head and say, no, apple, there is no such thing as an apple. It's all quanta. Energy moving, it's all energy. And it comes and plops you on your head and you get a little bruise on your head. What happened to your anukrama? So you have to honor the rules of the order that you are in. So yes, everything is Sri Krishna, but our awareness doesn't fully absorb it. We are only absorbing it mentally. It is not reality. It is not in our DNA. It is not that we are seeing, touching, feeling everything as Sri Krishna. It is not that we are seeing ourselves as Sri Krishna. But if we understand this deeply, that final understanding as Sri Krishna takes you to that 18th chapter. Even Sri Krishna has to work chapter by chapter. Each chapter is a growing awareness, a new awareness for Arjuna. So Sri Krishna has to take 18 different chapters to take him to that level where all is Sri Krishna, where he drops all the dharmas and comes to Arjuna. But we are at chapter 2 right now, chapter 2.33, and please appreciate the humor in the situation. So we have to honor the rules of chapter 2. If we break the rules of chapter 2 and we say, no, we're going to go to 18th chapter right away, then we commit what is called the fallacy of the order. We have made an error of imposing that fallacy on ourselves to which we don't belong. It's like my 18-year-old, 16-year-old, right? I discuss consequentialism and deontology with him, and he says, Dad, I'm more interested in my girlfriends and my school, and I want to play tennis, and I want to have fun. Tell me what I need to do. So what do I tell him? Speak the truth. Don't lie. Respect the girls. Treat them with utmost honor. Be sensitive. Learn to open yourself. Have a flexible mind and learn to listen. But if he follows this, if he learns to listen, if he learns to respect every human being, if he's quiet, then by the time he's 20, 25, 30, 35, wherever his life is flowering, he will someday reach that point of an inner understanding. As you remember, I don't know if you've seen Sri J. Krishnamurti's schools. He did not teach the little ones, 3-year-olds, to do meditation. He would take them and, okay, you're going to grow a plant. In the morning, you're just going to watch the sun come up. That's all. You're going to be quiet and watch the sun come up. Now to that 3-year-old, it's an entirely different experience. How many 3-year-olds are experiencing that? Touching the soil, growing that plant, loving that puppy, learning to do everything for that puppy. Learning to love is a transformation for that little child. So hopefully, as we honor the order of that 3-year-old, that 3-year-old, by the time that becomes 25-year-old, will become a yogi. So the stage at which we are, we have to honor that. And we have to say, this order in which I'm living, I have to follow the rules of that order. But if I follow the rules of that order as Sri Krishna is telling me to, then I will understand Sri Krishna fully. So right now, Sri Krishna is saying, do everything for me. Even before that, he'll say, do not focus on the phala. Follow your swadharma. Understanding that itself is a huge revelation. And so at this point, we need to understand the nuances. What you're doing right now, you're understanding the nuances of what Sri Krishna is telling us, right? And so as you understand, your mind will become as supple and subtle as Sri Krishna. In engaging with Sri Krishna, your mind will become transformed into the consciousness of Sri Krishna. In appreciating him, in enjoying him, in having the rasa and the anand of Sri Krishna as your friend and your teacher and your guru, Sri Krishna will come inside you. And suddenly you will see, one moment, someday you will see, but this is all Sri Krishna. So, but that has to happen in stages. I don't know if I answered your question, but at this point, we have to honor the rules of the game, because if we don't honor the rules of the game and we try, Arjuna from the 18th first chapter jumps to the 18th chapter, then one, the whole Leela of Gita will not happen. 2, he will not reach anywhere. He will not understand slowly and reach into a very high state of consciousness. And this is Arjuna. Arjuna, who is the purest human being on earth. Arjuna means the straight one, the white silver. That is the meaning of Arjuna. The pure one. He himself is taking 18 chapters to understand Sri Krishna. So we also have to honor that and to follow that anukrama that Sri Krishna has created for us.
Yeah, why I'm saying is, for me, it's a very personal thing also. I'm grappling questions around what should I do with my career,
Yes.
where do I, and then it comes. So then I took a lot of time to think, okay, so what is my Swadharma? What am I good at, and all that. And then I realized, no, but I need to hear what is it that's coming from, from
Yes.
the word, from Krishna, that I need to do this. Forget about Swadharma. That's limited by the ego. So then I started hearing what is the opportunity coming by rather than what am I good at. So,
Yes.
and I felt that was a bigger way of looking at it than this. So then I wondered that, then this Swadharma was kind of limiting me. So that's why I brought this question up.
Yeah, so Swadharma, if we really understand it, is a very deep concept, because it is the way of the being of your true self. Now that, if you can realize Swadharma, then your work is done. See, most of the time we identify Swadharma as, Arjuna identified Swadharma as being a Kshatriya, fighting, a warrior. But the true Swadharma of Arjuna is to be the Atman that he is. The moment he realizes that consciousness, but that's very difficult. So at this stage, and it's the same challenge I have in medicine. I'm taking care of a patient, and the patient says, okay, I have this pain in my finger. Now I'm waiting for the intuition. I used to do that in medical school. I'm waiting for the intuition. Nothing happens. Then I have to interfere and I say, use my mind and say, okay, let me fix this and move on. So we have to use the rules that are available to us slowly and then evolve into a bigger play. And it is something I don't recommend, as in my personal opinion, my personal experience. I don't recommend waiting for Sri Krishna to tell you something. If you have a conviction, have a feeling, go by your inner feel. Often your inner feel will guide you. Have what is called not just a gut thing, an inner feel. And often when I follow that, it always takes me to the right spot. At least I like to think so. But if I can touch that, just an inner feel, there's nothing very mystical about it. You have a sense of what is right and what is wrong. If you can get that, that's like a horse sense. Once you can get that, you will invariably do the right thing for yourself. And something will click. It is very smooth. It is very easy. It is just, it's the right thing for you. It's what was that movie, The Matrix? Remember when he goes to the oracle and he says it has to be, you have to know it. You just know it. So that knowing, if you can get into that, then it's not something that even is a meditation. You just know that you have to do this. I don't know. You just have to do it. But in the meanwhile, make the best decision according to your best judgment. That's in practical terms. We are in the practical world. And if you can be quiet about it at this moment, remember, infinite universes are available right now. Infinite possibilities are available to you right now. But because we get hung up on one thing, we only make that happen. We close off all the other universes. But if we can be quiet, all those possibilities are right here. And then it's just wait. And then possibility happens and you snap, you grab it. No matter what the challenge, if you don't commit preemptively, this is what I really want, give me this. Because life may give you something better. And we just went through our own challenge 2-3 months ago. It was a disaster. But you have to be very quiet and very open, and something new will start coming out of it. It can be the most painful thing in the world, and it will become the most beautiful thing in the world. If you can wait quietly and just let opportunities happen. And again, that's also an art. But if you can be quiet, as you alluded to earlier, if you can be quiet and let things happen and not commit yourself, oh, this is the only best thing for me, then other good things might happen to you. And Partha Dada talks about that a lot. He's very beautifully, he has explained that. I think when he talks about quantum physics, where do all the infinite possibilities, at which time do all the infinite possibilities happen? Do you know that? Now.
Right now?
Right now. Infinite possibilities are there, according to quantum physics, one way of looking at it. Although people will argue about it depending on the quantum physicist. But one way of looking at it, it's right here, right now. Multiple possibilities are right here for each of you, if you only allow them to flower. The possibility of each of you to become a philosopher, the possibility of each of you to do the part of the Gita and become a master of the Gita in a very humble way, not egoistic way. Each of you realizing Gita as your soul, as your being, as your reality, as your universe. Each of us has that possibility. It's right here. What happens is in our mind, we say, no, 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 no. No. Because our mind has been trained differently. Intellectually, we've been taught in school, we are taught to be skeptical. We don't believe in anything. Everything is cynical. But we have to drop that and learn to go into that spontaneity where we just know things. So if you can be quiet and just get into that sense, I think you'll find it very practically helpful. I've found it very helpful. So allow it, play with it. I always learn something every time I try that. So, Swamiji, any other things? I hope we are done.
Swamiji nahi hai, Dr. P.
Acha.
So that's why I'm taking care of it.
Acha. You are the Swamiji.
I am the, क्या बोलते हैं उसको हिंदी में? You wait for 5 minutes.
You are the Nimit.
I am one of the, he's in the listening mode today. So there is a last question I think we can take from Aviral. Why does Krishna chose to say dharmam sangramam and not dharmam yuddham? What does sangramam say here that yuddham doesn't?
So one is the rhythm. I mean, I'm a poet, so I'm going to use rhythm first. Right? If I said, where is that? 33. Atha chetvam imam dharmyam yuddham na karishyasi. And I say, Atha chetvam imam dharmyam sangramam na karishyasi. What sounds better to you? So in Anushtupa is the famous chand, one of the most important chandas in our tradition, which was used in, of course, the Veda. It was also used in Ramayana, in Mahabharata, and of course here in the Gita. And this is Anushtupa. Anushtupa is 4 pada, 4 feet of 8 varnas. So if I say yuddham, how many varnas are there? Only 2. Ya, yu, ada, the and dha, right? Yuddha. But sangramam is 3 varnas. So let's count the varnas in sangramam na karishyasi. Remember, this is mathematics. This is not just my choice, that I made it up. Sang, so sa, ra, gra, ga is adha. But ra, gra, ma, na, ka, ra, ya, sa. 8 varnas. Now listen to it just quietly. Atha chetvam imam dharmyam sangramam na karishyasi. There's a completeness to the sound. If I said Atha chetvam imam dharmyam yuddham na karishyasi, I don't know about you, but I feel like I've caught myself. And often when I'm chanting without the book, if I miss something, I know, I have a sense that I've missed it. So sangramam na karishyasi gives it a completeness. Now, modern poets will cut Modern poets don't care about all this. They will make it concise. They don't care about the feet. In English, even English, you will see Hindi poetry, prayogvad, you cut it. And our sensibility is different. But in our ancient tradition, poetry and mathematics went together. And if someday we want to do, the Trishtup 11, 11, 11, we did that shloka number 29, Ascharyavat Paschati Kaschidenam. If we see that there are different patterns in it, which give their own feeling, like Indra Vajra. Indra Vajra has a separate pattern where 11 varnas will have a fixed pattern, and that's how you will write. Then there is Upendra Vajra. Indra Vajra is like the thunderbolt of Indra. It will come and hit you on the head. So the structure of the music will create the sense. So Sangramam, of course, the meaning of Sangrama is a little different, more nuanced than Yuddha. And Sanskrit, you will see that there are maximum paryayavachi, maximum synonyms. And Sanskrit also is a language that each word has many meanings. Some is together. Samagram. Yuddha has a different feeling. So the poet has the freedom to create his own feeling. Poet also has his freedom to create his meter. And that's why I think he used Sangramam, and I think Sangramam is the right choice. That is the perfection of the Gita. That's the beauty of Sanskrit poetry. If we can appreciate that, we will see how beautiful the shloka sound is. This sound, if I don't know, those who love music, if I need to keep you up at night, you know what I'll do? I'll play the chord like, fifth Beethoven. Ta-ta-tum, ta-ta-ta-tum. You will hear this. It is dot, 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 dash. That's how it is. Da-da-da-da. Now, if I want to annoy you, you know what I need to do? I'll do da-da-da, and I'll leave that. You're going to sleep. You're resting, and I come and play that, and I don't complete it. I will mess up your brain. If I complete that sound, it gives you some kind of a satisfaction, some joy of completion. And when I was learning the violin, my teacher was brutal with me. I had to complete the note. The last note, if I didn't complete, he would go all crazy on me. Then he would play it himself and complete it. So there's a psychological aspect to completing the sound, and that is what Sanskrit poetry was. Remember the meaning of chanda. One meaning we say is, okay, how many varnas are there, the laghu and dirgha. But the meaning of chanda is anand. It comes from the root called root chid, which means anand. So it has to give you anand. It has to give you the fulfillment, the completion. And that's why Sangramam sounds better. Of course, I'm biased, but that's how I take it.
Very good. So I think that's all we have question, Dr. Pariksith. There are some discussion about somebody wants to have a separate session on dharma and karma, but we can do that maybe sometime. But I think
we can do it next time. I think one shloka at a time is good.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about dharma next time, it is good. And I think I saw a note from someone about Partho Dada's talk coming soon on Sanatan Dharma. He's the master of Sanatan Dharma. So I think you don't have anyone better than him to talk about dharma. But we can talk about dharma based on the Gita, which won't be different from what he says.
Absolutely. All right then. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you everyone. Sorry, my beautiful
No.
face.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, okay. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Om.
Oh.